I have a few kids at home still, 3 kids at home. We have a newborn baby that you'll see in a little bit. That's not how it's always been, though, for me. As Peter said, I was incarcerated, and so I have this name. I've picked up this name, $1 Million Felon. I've built up several $1 million brands, and I'm a felon. I spent over 13 years of my life incarcerated between the ages of 11 and 27. I'm 37 now. I've been out for 10 years. And over the last 10 years, my life has completely changed. And I was talking to Stephanie in the back a little while ago, and some people, we were talking about our stories, and people just would not guess that I had spent so much time incarcerated. And it's because this process that we go through in life, it's always evolving. We're always changing, and we're always moving forward. And so that's what I try to do with my life, is always be moving forward. That's how I've done so much in my life, is that I'm always looking for the next thing that I could do to keep moving forward. And so I think it was Rocky who was saying that to his son. He said, that's how winning is done. You're always moving forward. It's not about how hard you could hit. It's about how hard you could get hit and keep moving forward. And so we need to always be moving forward. And so that's my story, how I've got to where I am at today. I don't just stay stagnant. I don't get stuck in one thing. I'm always trying to move forward. So I was released from prison 10 years ago, and I didn't even have a high school education. I didn't graduate high school. I did have a GED, but I didn't really go to school. The school that I went to, I was always locked up, and I got kicked out of school in 7th grade. I got kicked out again in 8th grade. I got kicked out again in 9th grade, and then throughout the rest of high school, I was incarcerated. And I didn't spend a lot of time educating myself. It was a lot of rebellion, even when I was incarcerated. I did learn a lot, but it wasn't, I didn't have this strong education. I got out. I went back to college after trying some labor jobs for a little while, and went back to college, and I failed my classes. I wanted to chase a childhood dream of becoming an electronics engineer. When I was in prison, I used to tear my headphones apart or radios and try to fix things and make things. And so that actually became an occupation while I was in prison. I started making money, or soups, I guess, top ramen, from fixing headphones and stereos and other electronics. And so when I got out of prison, I wanted to chase that dream after realizing I couldn't do labor jobs. And so I went back to school to become an electronics engineer. And as I was saying, I wasn't educated very well, and so I failed my basic math classes. I couldn't even pass my just general algebra class, basic algebra class, which was like high school level algebra. And I failed it 3 times. 3 times failed basic algebra. And I was determined to do something. I was determined to get it right. I was determined to figure it out because I knew I wasn't stupid. I knew I could figure things out. And if somebody else out there was doing something good, if people were going to college, if people were passing their algebra classes, then I knew somehow, some way I could as well. And so my solution was actually to go to YouTube. And I looked on YouTube, actually YouTube, Khan Academy, just the internet in general, looking at videos on how to do algebra. And sure enough, I learned. I learned from watching YouTube videos how to pass. I ended up passing that class. I ended up taking several math classes. I don't know how much semesters, but 3 semesters of calculus. I passed a couple semesters of physics, a couple semesters of chemistry, and I did really well. When I failed every one of those classes before, I did really well by learning online. And so that's why I love online education, because it allowed me to go through school and do something for myself. And I actually dropped out of college. I didn't finish college because while I was discovering these new things and educating myself online, I found out how to do other things like build websites and build apps and learned about marketing. And I was like, well, wait a minute, maybe there's something else here. And in 2014, I was still going to school, and I had my first Shopify store that took off. And it was in February of 2014 that I built this store. I had been playing around with marketing for some time, just for a couple of years, testing T-shirts and a few other things, and wasn't very successful, but I was kind of getting the understanding of it. And so I opened up my first Shopify store, had no interest in the topic of what the store was in. That store is National Parks Depot. You could read about it online on Shopify. There's a blog post. You could read that story a little bit more in depth. But within 3 months of opening this store, and like I said a minute ago, I had no interest in this subject. I wasn't always out in the national parks. I wasn't hiking, fishing, and doing all this stuff. It's cool stuff. I like it, and I would do it when I do it when I can. But it's not one of my biggest interests. And it was just a random store that I threw up. And within a few days of getting that store set up, we were getting sales. I spent literally my last $60, which I did every month. I spent my last money every month on ads just to figure it out. And it was my last $60 this month, and that day I did about $1,000 in sales. And then I scaled it up the next day. I spent, I don't know how much, a few $100s or maybe $1,000, I don't know how much it was, and then the sales went up. And within the first month, we were doing $80,000 a month in sales, and that's when Shopify reached out to me a few years ago, had me write a blog post. And since then, so in the first 8 months, we did first 8 months we did $1 million. In the first 3 years, it's been over 3 years now, we've done over $6 million in sales on that one Shopify store. And as Peter mentioned, we have other brands, sub-brands. I have an Amazon brand that kind of stemmed from National Parks Depot that's done a few $1 million, or a couple million, about $2 million, just under $2 million now, by itself as a sub-brand of National Parks Depot. So as I was saying a minute ago, I like to move forward. I like to take what I have and always be moving forward. And so that's one of the big things I want you to take away from here is that there's that anything that you learn can be applied in a bunch of different ways. So we're going to talk about e-commerce ads. These ads could be applied to any type of anything. We're going to talk about certain types of attributes that you're going to find in products or you're going to be looking for in products, and those could be applied. Those principles could be applied across any type of product or anything. So think about how you can apply these things in any way. Anytime you're creating an ad, anytime you're creating a campaign, the stuff that I'm going to go over today, I want you to think about how you could use it in every way. Create your own strategies, because every store is different. In addition to National Parks Depot, I've created several other stores, several other brands, and I've worked with thousands of people. We've helped thousands of people create Shopify brands. I had a training course that over 10,000 people purchased, and I've coached dozens of people, and I see the same thing over and over and over. Every single store is different. And so I'm not going to tell you exactly what to write in your ad copy, because what works with my ads is going to be completely different than what works with yours. So this is going to be a big picture. Before I go on, let me tell you two stories, though. That's my little girl, Lux. She's just over a month old now, about 7 weeks. And I'm going to tell you two stories about her that she's involved in. One story, the cell was not closed, and the second story, the cell was closed. The cell was not closed. Let me tell you about that. Because super bionic e-commerce ads, as Peter was saying, it's the psychology of the ads, it's the psychology of the sales process, it's the psychology of each step of your ad and getting your customer to convert. It's the big picture is what we're going to give you right now. And so I want to give you two examples of what can happen on your store, and you guys probably, if you're like me, have experienced at least the first one where sales are not closed. We all struggle with trying to get the sales. When my fiance was pregnant, with Lux, we were going out shopping for strollers and cribs and a bunch of big items that you typically got to get with a baby. And we're going through some department store. I think it was Target or something like that. And as we walk in, she finds a onesie. And it said, I don't remember what it said. It says world's favorite dad or something like that, because I'm kind of biased. But the onesie said something on it that Rita picked it up, and she's like, oh, I have to have this. We're going to buy this. This is her first onesie. It's her first, whatever it was. She's like, this is her first one. We got to get it. We got to get it. She's in love with it. And we continue to walk through the store and look at the other stuff that we were there for. We're looking for, like I said, strollers and high chairs, or I don't remember what it was. And so she was so attached to this onesie and that she was going to get it, and so we're looking around at a few other things, and by the time we're getting ready to leave the store, she puts the onesie down, and it caught me off guard because she wanted to have it. I was expecting to have to go through checkout, and I was just going to stand around waiting and all that, and I wasn't looking forward to it. And so when she put it down, it kind of threw me off guard, and she specifically said that, well, we don't have anything else to get. We didn't come here for this until she put it down. And that's where the cell was not closed, right? So people see our ads on Facebook, they see our ads on Instagram, they see your ads wherever you're placing your ads. They're going to see your ads, and they weren't there shopping. Typically, they're not, unless you're selling on Amazon or eBay or something else where these are shopping sites. People are not looking for the product that you're trying to get them to buy. And so they're, as I said, they're scrolling through their news feeds. They're looking at pictures of Aunt Sally's wedding or stalking on ex-boyfriends or whatever it is that they're doing, and they're not expecting to buy your product. That's the last thing that's on their mind. And so when they get to your store, you have to do something really powerful. Before you get to their store, you have to do something very, very powerful to get them to buy. And so as they're walking through or as they're searching through the store, in our case, we were walking through the store, Rita the store grabbed her attention with this product, just like you grab people's attention in your ads, but you have to keep that attention. You have to give them enough reason, enough value to want to go through with the purchase. And so I'm going to tell you the second story. I was sitting outside my garage, or my backyard or something like that. I'm not Ty Lopez out here in my garage. I was in my backyard or something. I don't remember what I was doing. Probably sitting in my car. I have a $120,000 Corvette, 650 horsepower, and on the license plates it says ex-felon. So it's pretty cool. I'm kind of proud of that. You can find me on Facebook to see it. But I was probably sitting on my car or something, enjoying the day one day, and Rita was sending me pictures on my phone. She knows I was on my phone researching products or something like that. And so she started sending me pictures of baby Lux, and she was sleeping and cute and cuddly, and I just wanted to grab her. Like, I was just sitting out here, and she kept sending these pictures, and after a few minutes, it's like, oh, I got to go in and hold her. I have this shirt that I wear. It's a T-shirt, and it has like a little pocket in it, and baby goes in it. It's kind of like a wrap, but it's for like, it's a little cooler, in my opinion. As a matter of fact, it's the one I have in that picture. And I was thinking about, I got to go put her in this and just carry her around and just love her. And so after a few pictures, Rita had me convinced. And so I went inside, and as soon as I opened the garage door, I hear her crying. I hear the baby crying. And my first thought was, oh no, what happened that she would be crying just between the two, the minute? My second thought was, oh, she got me. She tricked me. She sent me all these pictures of the baby sleeping and she said, oh, baby wants you, things like that, because the baby was crying and she wanted me to take over. And so, but it didn't stop me. I still took baby, still put her in my shirt, and I cuddled with her, and I loved her. And the reason why is because I was so sold in the beginning. She sent me these pictures over and over, and I just there was nothing I could do to resist holding my daughter. I just wanted to hold her and be with her. And so I was sold. By the time I got to checkout, by the time I got to add the cart, and I seen that I needed to have shipping, I needed to pay $10 in shipping. That's my example for the baby was crying. It didn't stop me. I still went through. I still picked her up, and I still held her, and I enjoyed it. And that's what we need to do with our sales process. We don't want to be like the first example where people are just haphazardly picking things up because it looks cool, coming through Facebook. We want to carry them through the entire sales process with this emotion and so much value that they cannot resist buying, even if you charge them $100 shipping. Maybe not that extreme. So, how do you go from one to the other? How do you go from no sales to DuckTales? I like it, it rhymes, but maybe that's because who else watches DuckTales? Anybody else watch DuckTales when you were growing up? Yeah, I was born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s, so it looks like some a little bit older, but awesome. So people remember Uncle Scrooge and his all of his money that they used to go swimming in. And so how do you go from no sales to DuckTales? How do you go from broke, have no money in my pockets, to swimming in money? How do you do that? It's really simple. It's not about throwing up as much ads as you can. It's not about adding as many products as you can, although both of those are part of it. It goes a lot deeper. We really have to appeal to the emotions of our prospects. We really have to appeal to the emotions of our customer. We have to give them enough value where they're getting something out of it to where they cannot resist, right? Something other than that product. So, how does one go to battle? Do you go to battle, and I could have used North Korea and Syria and all these other examples, but I want to keep it fun. And so, if the pirates and the Vikings went to battle, what would that battle look like? Would they just go crazy and start hitting each other? Maybe. Excuse me. But I like to believe that they would plan it out a little bit better. I like to think that there'd be some strategy to battle, that there would be some strategy to war. So maybe, I don't know pirates and Vikings. Is that Captain Jack Sparrow? Does anybody know? Am I right? Yes? Awesome. I've heard it so many times that I thought that's who it would be. Awesome. Good. So if Captain Jack Sparrow wanted to be the Viking, who might be somebody else, I don't know. If he wanted to beat him, he could do a bunch of different things. He could load up on pirate ships and load up on cannons and load up on swords and load up on pirates and go with the masses to beat the enemy, to beat the Vikings. And that's probably the best thing to do. That's why we build up such a strong military power as the United States, and why military is a huge, we'll call it a business. It's huge industry, because it's about the volume. It's about outnumbering with power. It's about outnumbering with numbers. Well, it's all about power. So to win a battle, you want to do as much as you can to win that battle. You don't just want to load up on people. If you load up on people and you give them a pocket knife, they're not going to win that battle, chances are. If you load up on cannons but have no people, well, nobody's going to fire the cannons. If you load up on ships and cannons but no people, then the ships are useless. And so there's this whole network of stuff that has to be done together to really win a battle. And that's the same way it is with advertising. There's this huge strategy and a lot of different elements that need to work together to really, really win the battle. Now, you could win a lot of little battles. You could get a lot of campaigns that make money. You can make $500 and make $1,000. You're going to make $10,000 a month. But to really do large volume, you have to take a little bit more of drastic action. And it's not very hard. It's more about just understanding where your customer's at, understanding where your customer's head is at, and understanding the psychology of the sales process. And so this isn't a psychology class, and so I'm going to keep it as simple as I can, talking about it with a bunch of different squares. Very, very simple, nothing there, not even words there. It's just very, very simple. Now, imagine this grid being all of the possibilities of conversion. Each square in here represents maybe an ad copy or a series of ad copies or a product and a product a copy campaign. So just a bunch of stuff. Each one is a winner, though. Let's just keep it simple. Each little square is a winner. I could fill up 2 squares, 2 winners, and I'm doing good. I'm happy. I could have 1 winner, and I could be happy. But wouldn't it be nice to fill up that whole grid with winners? Right? Wouldn't it be nice to make a lot of money? Wouldn't it be nice to do something? If you're going to do something, if you're going to put in the work, wouldn't it be worth it to get as most out of it as you can? And that's what this is about. That's really what this whole message, this whole presentation is about. The super bionic e-commerce ads. It's super ads. It's bionic ads. It's imagine the bionic man or the bionic suits that you see on YouTube that allow people to jump further, or throw harder, or throw further and hit harder. Right? Imagine those suits. Well, imagine if your ads could do that. If your ads, instead of getting a $10 conversion, you could get a $5 conversion, or instead of getting 100 customers a day, you could get 1,000 customers a day. Right? Imagine if your ads could do that. I know my life would be different, and it is a lot different because of this stuff. Because I'm able to do a lot more broad. I think a lot more broad. So that's what we want to do. So I'm going to start with some training now. It's going to get a little bit technical, but it's really, really, really simple. So I have what's called the 3 Ps. There's a lot of, in marketing, you have like the 4 Ps. You have a bunch of Ps that people come up with. I came up with the 3 Ps for e-commerce, and this is my strategy, or something that I came up with personally. And I came up with it a few years ago after I made my first $1 million online. I developed this strategy, and it hasn't changed at all. I've kept it the same, at least the 3 P concept. So in the 3 Ps, you have your people, your product, and your promotion, and that is all you need to worry about in your product campaigns, in your e-commerce campaigns. You have your people, which is your who, and it could be your customers. Yes, it's your customers, it's your target audience, but the people also includes where you're targeting, your traffic sources, where you're finding these people. So your people is your who, is the who. The product is the what. It's what it is you're selling. And your product could be a bundle. It could be a single product. I could be selling this little switch thing here. I could be selling a TV. Or I could be selling the switch with the TV as the bundle. The product doesn't have to be an individual item. It's just that ultimate product or the purchase that you want the person to make. So the product is the what it is you're trying to get them to buy. And the promotion is the why. Why are they going to buy this product from you? Why is the person that's scrolling through their newsfeed on Facebook, why are they going to go buy a product that they weren't thinking about 5 minutes ago? Like, when you really think about it that way, when you ask yourself that question, that's almost like discouraging. Like, to me, it would be like, I'm going to get somebody out of nowhere that's doing something that's like none of my business, and they're just living their life, and I'm going to get them to buy something from me out of nowhere, and they don't know me, and I'm on a website in another country maybe. Like, that sounds like so discouraging. How do we even do that? And it's because we could do it with this. We could do it with the 3 Ps. Understanding that the promotion ties the people with the product. The promotion, if you have a solid promotion, then you can tie your people with your product, and you'll get sales. So let's define some of these people. The people are your target audience. When I talk about finding my audiences, I try to keep in mind that I don't know who my audience already is. Okay, we could sell a product. Say I wanted to sell a yo-yo, a regular old yo-yo, right? And I could sell this yo-yo. I could target the interest for yo-yo on Facebook, and I could probably sell a bunch of yo-yos that way. But what if I wanted to sell them to just parents for a gift for their kid, just an extra item? Or what if I wanted to teach somebody how to sell yo-yos and give them a hobby because they're bored, they don't have anything else to do, right? There's a bunch of other ways to sell a yo-yo besides just going after the interest. And so I'm not going to go over it in depth right here on how to do that, but I will give you guys a tip just to take away when you're creating your Facebook audiences. What I like to do is I have what I call interest types. And so I'll go into Facebook into the Power Editor where I'm creating my audience, and you guys should know about a lot of this stuff already. Where you're going to put in your audience, you're going to put in an interest, right, for your targeting. And I always start off with my big keyword, and that big keyword in this case would be yo-yo. I'll just put in yo-yo. And what I would look for, I would go to suggestions in Facebook. So when you're putting in your keyword, Facebook will give you a list of suggested keywords that are very similar, right? You guys will see this. You'll know what I'm talking about when you do it if you don't already. You'll see a bunch of suggested keywords. I like to scroll down those. I don't like to pick them and just add them into my campaigns. I like to scroll down and look for trends. And so for yo-yo, I might see brands of yo-yos. I'm not sure if there are, but I might see brands. I might see yo-yo competitions and some TV shows about yo-yos, right? And what I'm doing is I'm scrolling down as I'm looking for topics or interest types that keep coming up over and over and over. So if I see several different brands, then I'm like, hey, there's something there. And I'll write down on the side brands, yo-yo brands, and I'll just make note of that, and I'm going to come back to it a little bit later on. And then I'll find maybe yo-yo competitions, and I'll be like, okay, well, now we could go after yo-yo competitions. I'll write that down, and I'll come back to that later on. And I'll find as many of these interest types by putting in my main keyword. I'll find as many interest types as I can. And what that allows me to do is come. Remember, we were talking about Jack Sparrow a minute ago. He could have a bunch of boats. He could have a bunch of cannons. He could have a bunch of soldiers. He could have a bunch of artillery, right? Well, when I'm going after a target audience and I'm finding a bunch of different target audiences, I'm loading up on my whatever it is, my ammunition, right? I'm loading up on my ships, right? That's what it is. We're loading up on our ships when we're finding different audiences. And so the more audiences you can find for your product, the better, the more chances of success, the more chances of you making as much money as you possibly can. So I'm going to tie all this stuff back together in a little bit, you guys. In the end, I'm going to wrap a lot of it up. I'm going to give you a lot of information really quickly, but it's really basic information. And then I'm going to wrap it up by showing you how to actually apply all of this. So for now, just kind of remember, what we're talking about. I'm going to lay the foundation. So the target audience is your ships. As many ships as you could possibly have. The more, the better. You want to have them as similar to your main interest as possible. So if I was selling German Shepherd stuff, I would type in German Shepherd. This is another example, and I would look for the interest types that would come up, and I might find other dog breeds. So I'd put those ones out because I'm not interested in pugs or Shih Tzus if I'm selling German Shepherd stuff. So I would put those aside, and I might see like a German Shepherd Rescue, and I'd say, oh, write that one down, German Shepherd Rescue. And then I might see I love my German Shepherd, and I'll be like, oh, German Shepherd Lovers, I'll write that one down. And what I'm doing is I'm developing these interest types that I could then go back and create an audience for. And for German Shepherd Rescue, I would go back into Power Editor, I'd remove the main keyword German Shepherd, and I would put in the German Shepherd Rescue. And I would get a bunch of interest for that. And that's where I would start loading in all of the other suggested ones, which would be a bunch of other German Shepherd Rescue interest. And so the simple way to build a large amount of audiences is to start with your keyword and look for a bunch of smaller interests that are similar to that main keyword. And I call those interest types. They're types of interest or categories of interest. So your people is your target audience, and it's also your traffic sources. The target audience was what I just talked about a minute ago, or just got done talking about. Traffic sources is going to be the places where you're finding your people. Because, and I put this under the people and not as its own traffic sources, because the types of people that you find on Facebook are different than the types of people that you find on Google, which are different than the types of people that you find on Bing. This is 100% true, and so we have to understand it that way. The way you're going to go after people on On Google, your ad copy is going to be completely different than your ad copy for Facebook. However, if you keep these, what we're going over today in mind as the big picture overview, none of that will matter because you'll know exactly how to go after each one. So traffic sources that we go after right now that I found a lot of success in so far are Facebook, Instagram, Google Search, Google Shopping, and Bing Search. And then there's other ones that we're using as well. But those are the main ones that you guys should be focusing on primarily at first. Those are the ones that we found success in for specifically e-commerce. There's a lot of other advertising platforms, a lot of places where you could create ads, find traffic. But the ones that we found to be effective, again, I'm going to tell you guys again so you can write them down, are Facebook, Google Search, Google Shopping, Bing Search, and Instagram. And Pinterest as well, depend on the product. That one's really, really touchy. So people, your target audience and your traffic sources. So think about it this way. If you wanted to fill up a lot of this grid, you could go after one target audience and fill up one square, or you could fill up a bunch of squares by going after a bunch of target audiences. And then the same thing is you could start off with just Facebook and fill up one square with Facebook traffic, or you could fill up a bunch of squares with a bunch of traffic sources. And remember, the goal would be to fill up the entire grid because that means more money. Now, you don't want to start off with all of this. When I set up a campaign, I don't just go crazy and start up setting campaigns on Facebook and Google and creating all of these audiences. I don't go crazy in the very beginning. This is how to expand it. This is the big picture of where you want to end up when you find successful campaigns. You want to really, really expand them. When you find a successful campaign, you want to expand the audiences as much as you can. When you find a successful campaign, you want to expand your traffic sources as much as you can. You want to grow it as much as you can to really make it super and bionic. And we want to fill up that grid as much as we possibly can. So the people are the target audience and the traffic sources. The product is going to have several different elements to it, or possible elements. The four things that we really look for in products are products that have a lot of value. And I'm going to explain value in a minute. It's not just monetary value. It's not just about like, oh, wow, this thing's worth hundreds of dollars and I'm getting it for $50. It's not about that. Well, that's part of it, but a product that has a lot of value, again, I'll explain that in a minute. A product that's trendy. So what's really, really trendy right now, I think I've seen them here since I've been here, or one of them, are those little fidget cubes, right? I think one of you has had one. I don't know if it was a cube that I seen. No, it was on the plane. I seen it. They had a fidget cube, and they had the spinners, and they have the Tangle one now. I haven't seen a lot of those ones yet. But those are trendy. Those types of little objects, those items, are really, really trendy right now. So you could hop on board with a trendy item. You could find an item that's cool, that's just simply like, wow, I got to have that. I was selling this item called the gravity hook one time. I don't know if you guys have seen it online, but it's this little hook. It's like a claw thing that you drop down, and with gravity, with the force of gravity, it's able to pick things up. It just does it on its own. So when you drop the claw, it opens up, and then when you pick it up, it closes and picks things up. And we had some pretty cool videos on it, and people absolutely loved it. Like, people were saying it was like you could be Batman, and you could do all this cool stuff with it. And that had the coolness factor. It was just really, really cool. People just had to have it because it was so cool. Like, people were saying, like, comments, I don't even know what it's for, but I'm buying 2 of them, right? Like, they just had to have it because it was so cool, right? So you're looking for products that have value, they're trendy, or they're cool, or products that are evergreen, products that you could be selling all year long. One of our best sellers was a backpack, because backpacks are used all year long, right? People use backpacks for school, people use backpacks for work, people use backpacks on the job. We got people that were using them for bug out bags. We had people that were using, for all kinds of things. Diaper bags are backpacks that, and it was insane what they were using it for. It wasn't even what we were initially selling them for, but that's how you expand your people. Going back to the people part, you learn who your customers are, and you can expand your people there. So evergreen products are products that you can sell all year long, and they sell well all year long. Unlike say an umbrella. Umbrella only sells, when it's raining. Well, I guess I take that back. They might buy it in the summer too when they block the sun. But you guys get what I'm saying. We want products that we could sell all year long. Now, chances are we're selling products, I know I am, we're selling products that might not be trendy, they might not be cool, or they might not be evergreen, but they still have a lot of value. So they don't have to have every one of these. You just, if you could match, I guess, or get a lot of these into your campaigns into one product, then you're doing this here again. You're filling up these squares. If you could find products that have a lot of value, if you could find products that are, a single product that has value and is trendy and is cool and is evergreen. So like the gravity hook I was telling you about a minute ago, it had a lot of value. I mean, there was a lot of uses to it, and it was just it was an inexpensive item that was pretty cool. The use value, though, is the stress there. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it also had a lot of, it was trendy. We created a trend out of it. I mean, the posts went viral. And then it was cool. It was just super cool. Everybody loved it. And it was something that we could sell all year long. And so it had all of those attributes. And we made a lot of money from that product. So they don't have to have every one of these attributes. But if you could find as many as you possibly can and put them into one product, if every one of your products had every one of these, you'd be making a lot of money. Guarantee it. So, and there's a lot of tools out there. Just use the tools that Chris talks about or that people talk about here. There's a lot of tools that help you find these types of products. So, it's not hard work. And then the promotion. So you have the people, the product, and the promotion. The people are your buyers, are your who. Your product is the thing that you're selling, and the promotion is what ties them together. The promotion refers to raising a customer's, this is the Wikipedia definition. Promotion refers to raising customer awareness for a product or brand, generating sales, and creating brand loyalty. Promotion refers to raising a customer's awareness of a product or brand. So you're making them aware of your product or brand, and you're generating sales and creating brand loyalty, right? That is how you're going to tie your customer to your product. You're going to tie your customer to your product by making them aware of your product and creating this loyalty or this trust and this closeness to your brand that they can't resist, and you're going to generate sales. The way you're going to do that is with the 3 V's. What I call the 3 V's are the 3 types of value. Let's see my next slide if I show those. Yeah, cool. So I have the 3 types of values: monetary value, use value, and emotional value. Monetary value is the most common one. It's what you guys mostly use. Save $10 now, or this is what we all mostly use. It's where we stress the price of the item. We say on sale or free, just pay shipping, right? We're stressing the monetary value of the item and focusing only on the money, right? I had we were selling these cameras one time that were similar to a lot of the other high-end 4K cameras like GoPros and other action cams. And people loved our camera because they could get it for under $100 when all of these other cameras were going for hundreds of dollars. And the same thing, we had a smartwatch that we were selling. They could get it for under $100 when other smartwatches were going for hundreds of dollars. And so that's the monetary value. When you're able to show somebody something where they see that they're either saving money, they're getting a good deal, or something built around the money, the monetary value. And then there's use value. That's think of the umbrella in the middle of the rain, or I guess now in the middle of the summer. Out here it's so hot. It could protect the shade or the sun, protect you from the sun. These items that have a lot of use. These items, think about a toothbrush. I know we're not going to go sell toothbrushes, and maybe if you're on Amazon you can, but on Shopify you're not going to be able to. But that's a high use value item, right? There's so many items, it's like almost impossible to not find them when you're actually looking for them, because almost every item has a use. That's why they're there, right? Shoes have a use. You walk with them. They protect your feet, right? Everything has almost everything has a use. My gravity hook, we kind of had to stretch that one a little bit. We had to come up with uses like stealing your neighbor's hamburgers or something like that. I don't remember what our ad copy said, right? We came up with our uses and made it very useful. Other people came up with their own. Some of them illegal that they shouldn't be doing. But we really stress the use with that product. You have to find ways to where your product is useful to your customer, and you're looking for products that are very, very useful. And then the third type of value is emotional value. This is the most important one, but this is the one that gets missed the most. You're appealing to the emotions of that person, right? This is how Rita got me with the pictures of Lux. This is how she got me. She appealed to my emotions. She showed me pictures of her sleeping. She said, "Baby wants you." I don't know what she was saying, but it got me, right? It tugged on my heart, and I was sold, right? That's that emotional value. You're able to play on that with a lot of different products as well. We did the same thing with our gravity hook. We told people they could be Batman or superheroes, and came up with all of these things that guys that were buying our products wanted to be, or they liked, they were into, they were interested in, and so we appealed to their emotions with an emotional value. So those are the three types of values that you want to have in your promotion. Remember, your promotion ties your people to your product. Your promotion is what gets people to buy. I have what's called I actually call this binding back here. I call it the double helix, where if you're familiar with the DNA, the strands of DNA, you have two strands of DNA, and they're bound together, and that's called a double helix. And that's kind of what I liken this to. We have our people, which is one strand. We have our product, which is another strand, and they're bound together by these bonds of promotions. And so this is very, very powerful to understand that your promotion is the most important piece. You could find people anywhere. There's so many different traffic sources, and you could find the people anywhere. There's technical stuff that you could just do step-by-step how-to stuff on how to find people. That's easy stuff. It's technical, but it's easy. You could do it. Finding the product, it's easy. It's technical. You could use these apps and have to do the search stuff and things like that. It is a little bit technical, but it's easy stuff. It just takes time. It's time-consuming. The hardest part about both of those is second-guessing ourselves. We question whether we found the right product, or we question whether we found the right people. The only way to actually know is by testing it. So the hardest part is actually questioning ourselves or trusting ourselves in our promotions. I lost my screen down here, so the promotion, though, the promotion is really is the real hardest part. Because the other parts, they're easy if you could get past yourself. If you could get past your own questioning, right? If you could get past your own doubt, then the other stuff is easy, because there's tools that find audiences. There's tools that find products, right? Just trust those, right? If you could get past your own doubts, then those other parts are easy. That makes the promotion the hard part. And I want to share with you how to really do that. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to. So let's go back to the values. So we have the three types of value. It looks like they're trying to fix it. The three types of values are the emotional, or the monetary value, the use value, and the emotional value. And then I don't remember what my next slide is, so I'm just going to go ahead and, oh, cool. I've done this thing so many times that I know what I want to say. I just don't want to get off track for you guys. So three types of value, and then let's kind of bring it all together. So your people or your audiences are the different types of interests that you could find, or the different categories of people you could find. When you're selling a backpack like we did, we could go after people that were into survival stuff so they could use it for a bug out bag. We could go after people who were new dads so they could use it as a cool diaper bag. We could go after people who worked in jobs where they're on the road all day so they could use it as a work bag, with their lunch and stuff. We could go after people that were going to school, that were in the military. There were so many different angles that we could take, and that's what we did. We actually sold over $4 million for that backpack because we did this. We went after so many different angles. Traffic sources, same thing. We went after so many different traffic sources, and we were able to reach a lot more people. I didn't put into here sales channels, but sales channels could be a part of that traffic source as well. Sales channels, I mean like Amazon, eBay, OpenSky, all the other ones. I forget what we're using. But as many as those as you could find as well, you want to load those on. So find multiple audiences, find multiple traffic sources, add these properties to your products: value, trendy, coolness, and evergreen. So you have products that have a lot of the value, the three types of value that we talked about. They're saving money. They could use it a lot, and it appeals to their emotions. Well, if you get all of those types of value, then you're doing really, really good. So you get a lot of value. You find an item that's trendy. You find an item that's cool if you can, and you make it evergreen. You layer on all of these, and you got a very powerful product. You match that with your different audiences, you match that with your different traffic sources, you got a very profitable, or excuse me, a very likely to be profitable campaign. You add into that the element of promotion and start appealing to the, really appealing to the 3 types of value, and then focusing on the copy, which I didn't go over, I'll go over in a minute, then you'll have the most chance of success and the most chance of expanding very, very broad. Does that make sense, you guys? Do you see how that would work? I mean, it makes more sense than just having a product, buy now, save $10, and you're only advertising it on Facebook, and it makes more sense than that, right? I mean, you guys get that part, right? To do as much as you possibly can. Now, I wanted to give you that big picture because we could go down, we could really drill in depth into each one of these, and I really don't want to because honestly I think it'll bore you guys right now. But I do want to focus a little bit on copy, and I don't think I have any slides for that. No, I do not. So I'll just talk about copy, because copy, as I said back here, you're going to express the 3 V's, and you're going to express your promotion through your copy. That's how they're going to know about any of this. They're not going to know what's so cool about your product. They're not going to know what's so trendy about your product. They're not going to know how much they're going to save, or it's not going to appeal to their emotions just by looking at pictures typically. Now, in my case, seeing my daughter, it did work. And there are some times where just the imagery will work, just the media. Like for the gravity hook, we didn't even have to say anything. We just showed a little, a short video, just a cycling 3-second video of it picking up a quarter off the ground. A quarter was laying flat, and it picked it up off the ground. And that was enough to just get everybody. I mean, everybody loved it, right? And then we did more beyond that. But sometimes you can just have media, just have an image, and that's good enough. But typically, you need a lot more into your copy. And there's really 3 things that you need to have in your copy. But, well, I'll tell you what they are. So the first thing you want to do in your ad copy is you want to relate to their customer. You're going to say something that's going to get their attention. You guys should be writing these things down because I don't have them on the slides. You want to relate to your customer. The easiest way to do that is love hunting, right, if you're selling a hunting item, or love fishing if you're selling a fishing item, or love roller skating if you're selling a roller skating item or something like that, right? So you're relating to your customer by just simply asking them a question. Do you like this? Are you into this type of stuff? Chances are they're going to say to themselves, yes, right? So the first part is to relate to your customer, and you could easily do that with a question. And that's where I recommend, if you're just getting started and to keep it simple, just ask a question about your product. Like do you like playing yo-yo, right? Something really, really simple that's going to connect with them. If you wanted to take it a little bit a step further, then you could add in some emotional value and maybe add in some storytelling. Like one example that I like to give that I've used before, we were selling a rifle scope. And instead of relating it to them with love hunting, right? Love looking, whatever, looking through scopes. I related it in a different way where I said something like, it was a storytelling. I said, I had him in my crosshairs. He was down in the valley, I was up on the ridge. And something that I don't remember this exact terminology or phrase, but it was more of an emotional catch. It wasn't love hunting. It was, I had him in my crosshairs. That got the hunter, that would get their attention. What do you mean? He was down in the valley, I was up in the ridge, and now they could visualize it. They could set themselves there. I could smell the blood already of the buck or whatever it was. I don't remember what it was. I'm not a hunter, so it doesn't appeal to me, but to the hunter, it would appeal to that person. And so we appeal to their emotions. We appeal to a deeper level, their core desires of who that person is. And that's how you're really going to attract your customer. When Rita sent me the picture of my daughter, she knew that I love my kids. I love my kids. I mean, they're my world. And she knew that I would, as soon as I seen that picture, I'm going to want to hold her, right? She appealed to my core desires. She appealed to that emotion inside of me that was just going to respond to that no matter what. Even if I walk in and the baby's crying, I'm still going to hold her, right? She appealed to that person inside of me. When we're presenting our products, we need to do that same thing. We need to appeal to the person. We need to get inside of their emotions, get inside of their heart, get inside of their core desires of who they really are. You got to be careful with that on Facebook. Now, somebody posted in the 90-day challenge group where Facebook is cracking down when you're trying to appeal to the person, when you're talking to the person. You have to talk about the product now a little bit more rather than the person. So if you keep it as a story, then you'll be fine. But well, I won't spend time on that because I don't want to scare you from making your ads. Just try not to use the word you too much in your ad copy anymore. This is a simple tip. Try not to use the word you too much. Okay, so first you're going to relate, in your ad copy, you're going to relate to your customer. I'll tell you the 3 steps: relate, benefit, and call to action. So first you're going to relate to the customer. You're going to do that with either a simple, love hunting, or you're going to do that with, I had in my crosshairs, he was down the valley and I was up on the ridge, something like that, right? More emotional. If you add in emotion, then as we've seen before, that's filling up more squares because emotion is more value. And emotion is actually the strongest type of value. Right? So we're going to relate to the person, then we're going to show them a benefit. The benefit can be love playing yo-yo, get this yo-yo, and show off to your friends for free today, just pay shipping or something. I don't know. Just come up with something off the head. Right? You're going to show them the benefits. The benefits are going to be typically the types of value or a feature of the product that's going to get them to purchase. And so it could be anything, though, depending on what your product is. If you're selling AK-47 T-shirts, right, then the benefit there is that they get to express themselves as an AK-47 or as a gun lover or whatever it is, right? So the benefit is that key feature about the item that it is that you're selling, right? And you're going to try to present that benefit in a way that can be emotional. So instead of saying, or you can say something as simple as love playing yo-yos, impress your friends with by walking the dog with this super, I don't know, whatever yo-yo. I don't know anything about yo-yos. So I'm trying to come up with this off the head. But you could appeal to them with the benefits, right? Walking the dog, I think that was a thing. Or remember the cradle thing. You guys know any of that type of stuff, right? But you could appeal to them by showing them what they can do with it, and that emotion part. People, if you just talk about the yo-yo, it goes down 3 feet or 2 feet. The string's this long, and the lights are bright red or whatever. Nobody's going to care about that, right? But when you talk about how it's going to impress their viewers or the people that they're showing the yo-yo to and showing off to, then it works a little bit better. So. Not only when you relate to them do you want to appeal to their emotions, but also when you show them the benefit or the feature, the key benefit or feature, you want to appeal to their emotions. When I was doing the hunting scope, we had something like, I had him in my crosshairs, he was down the valley, I was up in the ridge, I could smell his blood already, and sorry, that's a little extreme, but for the crowd it works, it works. Something about I could see him at this distance. I don't remember. At this distance, I could see the sweat. I don't remember what it was. But the idea of it was to let them know when they're envisioning themselves hunting and they have them in the crosshairs. The idea was to let them know that this scope allowed them to see that far. Right? They could imagine it. The hunter could imagine it because they've been there 100 times. They do this all day, right? Or that's how they spend their time. And so they could imagine what's happening there, that this scope is allowing them to see this far. And then in the end, they actually, the end of the ad copy, the hunter actually fires the shot, the buck's down, and we actually have a call to action to grab that scope, so that they could see further or something like that. I don't remember what it was. So after you relay, after you show the benefit, you're going to have that call to action. You're going to have a call to action that's going to tell them exactly what it is that you want them to do. Don't leave it open. Don't leave it open for them to just look at your item, right? Don't leave it open for them to decide that they want to purchase on their own. You have to tell them what to do. Sometimes, one way to think about it is when I stress over and over and over, we're catching people off guard, and a lot of people, when they see these posts on Facebook, they just think it's content. They're not expecting it to be an ad, or they're not expecting it to be a product that they could purchase. They're getting more aware of that now, but they're still just looking at content on Facebook, and that's where we're mostly targeting people. So not having a call to action is going to just leave the person just thinking that it's a piece of content. So it's very, very important that you actually tell them to do something in the end. Like, buy it now for $4.99. If that's your call to action, then that's good. That's simple. Just straightforward. Buy it now, right? Or you could say something like, for the scope, see much further, and I don't remember what it was, but become the marksman that you've wanted to be with this 10 times zoom or 100 times zoom rifle scope today or something like that. I don't remember what it was. But you're appealing to that benefit and to that emotion again. You're constantly appealing to the emotions of that person. You're constantly appealing to who that person actually is on the inside. Did you have a question over here?
Yeah, I was going to ask how long the copy is for that. Like you're determining the emotional story. How long will you put in a couple sentences or paragraph?
So for ad copy, as short as possible. Whatever you could do to get the job done and as short as possible. If you could do it in one sentence, perfect. If it takes 10 sentences, that's fine. Try not to make it too long. As short as possible. Don't be afraid to add some content, though. Don't be afraid to add a few sentences. But yeah, as short as possible. And don't get caught up on it. Just whatever you could do. What I like to do is I'll write my ad copy, and then I'll read it over, and I'll say, do I have too much fluff in here? Is there any words I could get rid of? Is there anything I could just cut out really quickly? And I don't spend too much time on it. Just, I guess, the general rule is as short as possible. You don't want to overwhelm your customers with just too much, reading, and then they're not going to have time to, maybe they'll get a phone call or something and get sidetracked or something like that. So you want to get to the point as quick as possible, right? So you have, let's go back. You have you're going to relate. You're going to show them a benefit, and then you are going to give them a call to action. And that's that's the promotion aspect. That is the main key. You guys see from the promotion, if the copy and if all of this emotional value and if the real tugging on the heartstrings of your customer happens with the promotion, then you guys could see that that's the most important part, right? It's very, very important to really be focusing on how you're going after your customers. Don't spend hours and hours and hours finding products. It's a waste of time. There's so many tools out there. There's so many different ways to find products. And you know what? Even if you find the same product that a million other people are selling, or you're convinced that it's selling well, if you don't have the right promotion, it might not do anything for you, right? So don't waste time on spinning or finding the perfect product, because there's a lot of tools out there that'll tell you. Just look at the numbers. If the product's selling well, then chances are you're going to be able to sell it well if you had the right promotion. Same thing with the people. Don't spend hours upon hours trying to dissect the audience and using Google Analytics and all of these other tools to really dissect the audience. You do want to use those, but not in the very beginning to get started. To get started, just throw up some audiences, keep it simple, and just get started, right? Where you do want to spend some time is the promotion. Because the promotion is really what gets the customer's attention. It's what pulls them in, it lures them in, it carries them all the way through the sell. And if you slack on that, you could be throwing away a lot of money and never having successful campaigns, when it was really something that just, if you took some extra time to do, it would work. And I say that because I see a lot of people spending a lot of time on the wrong things. They spend way too much time on finding products. I get so many people that send me products and ask me if I think it'll sell, and I don't know. I have no clue if it will sell. If I knew, I'd be selling it, right? So I have no clue if it's going to sell. The only way to know is for you to sell it, just to throw up some ads and connect with the right people and sell it, right? Just to get the ads started, right? So that is really, really simple to find the products. It's really, really simple to find the people. To get started, the promotion, you want to have it very keyed in, dialed in as much as you can from the very beginning. You want to appeal to the emotions of your customer. The promotion is important because it lays the groundwork. If you go back to our definition of promotion refers to raising the customer's awareness of a product or brand. You want to act like that's the first time they've ever seen this product before, right? Imagine trying to sell a spoon, right? Spoons have been around for a long time. How do you sell a spoon, right? Well, you could sell it in a bunch of different ways if you appeal to the emotions of a person. I'm not going to say this works because I'd be selling spoons, but maybe you could appeal to like the bowl of cereal. I know if you have a fresh bowl of cereal in the morning and the cold milk on the spoon, it feels really good, and people enjoy it. You could enjoy your cereal, right? Or whatever, right? You're going to appeal to the emotional, to the emotions of the person by talking about a benefit. You're going to talk about the benefit, but in an emotional way, right? And so you get to do that with every one of your products. It doesn't matter what your product is. It doesn't matter if it's tennis shoes. You have to appeal to that person, and you got to show them those tennis shoes as if they've never seen those tennis shoes before, or those tennis shoes do something that no tennis shoes in the world do. And every tennis shoe in the world could do it, but the way you're presenting it is in that way. And I'm not saying you're lying or anything like that. You're just highlighting a feature in a way that somebody else or nobody else has ever done it before, right? You're highlighting that feature in a way that appeals to the emotions of your prospects. So let's move forward. I'm gonna wrap this up, and then I'm gonna allow you guys to ask some questions. And so, bringing it all together again, you have the three main things that you need to focus on with your e-commerce ads for your super bionic e-commerce ad campaigns. And that is your people, who it is that's buying from you, where it is that they're buying from you. Because again, the traffic sources, each person is different on every traffic source. Just to explain why that is, people that are on Google, when we're going after people that are on Google, I told you guys a little bit ago that the main one that we like is Google search. Well, those are people that are searching for an item. And so the mind frame where they're at is a little bit different than the people that are on Facebook when you're catching them off guard. So the traffic sources, I put that under people because the psychology of that person is a little bit different based on the traffic source. So having as many different audiences and as many different traffic sources as possible as you build your campaigns is going to be how you're going to make millions of dollars. Same thing with products. You want to have as many different products with as many different people as you can. So if you have one product and you're going after 5 different audiences that are all converting, you're doing great. But if you have 2 products and they're all going after 5 different audiences, you're doing even better, right? If you have 2 products and they're all based on value, then you're doing great. If you have 2 products and they're based on value and they're trendy and they're cool and they're evergreen, you're doing better, right? So we want to apply as many of these different principles as we can to every one of our campaigns. I don't know what's going on there. So you got your people, your audiences and traffic sources. You got your product, the value, trendy, coolness, and evergreen. And then you got your promotion that's going to tie those together. And the only thing that I really want you guys to focus on in your promotion are the 3 types of value. And showing and displaying those 3 types of value in an emotional way to your customer. The 3 types of value, again, are monetary value, use value, and emotional value. Monetary value is normally $100, buy now for $29.99. Use value is don't get sunburnt this summer, buy this sunshade hat, right? Something like that. And then emotional value is going to be proud of, show your pride in that your son's a doctor with your, my doctor's a son T-shirt or something like that. I don't know. So there's so many different ways that you could appeal to the emotional value. The emotional value is something that you could apply to every single aspect. You could apply the emotional value to the money savings, right? Save $10, feel good about saving, right? That's emotional value, right? You're applying it to the monetary value. You could do that same thing with the benefits for every type of value in every aspect. You just want to focus on the emotion of the person. And so if you're focusing on the 3 types of value, if you have a product that's they're saving a lot of money, if you have a product that is very, very useful and a product that really appeals to their emotions somehow, then the chances are you're going to have a better campaign than you would if you just had a product that they were just saving money on. So the same thing as with the people and with a product, as many types of value that you could get into your promotion, the better. Sure, you make some money by just getting people to save money, right, or showing people that they save money, but you can make a lot more money, get a lot more sales by showing how it's going to make a person feel, how it could change their life, how they could do something more easily or effectively or quicker or something like that. So truly, really pay attention to the emotional value. And all of that is going to be displayed in the copy. And the copy is made up of, you want to relate, you want to show a benefit, and you want to have a call to action. Right? Connect with the person, show them why they need this product, and then tell them to get it right now. Right? And you're going to do that with emotion. You're going to appeal to their emotions. So that's how you're going to fill up that grid. You're going to fill up that grid, and you're going to have successful campaigns and a lot of successful campaigns and make the most amount of money if you do as much as you can with this. It's just like going into battle, Captain Jack Sparrow and the Vikings, or pirates going against the Vikings, right? The more ships you have, the more cannons you have, the more swords you have, the more ammunition, the more manpower, the better chances of success, right, of winning that war, winning that battle. And so that's how I want you to approach your ad campaigns, is to think about how you can do as much as you possibly can. And you don't, again, I want to stress that you don't want to start off with everything. Don't start off with everything. Just find something that works and then expand it from there. So I'm going to go ahead and open up if you guys have any questions. We still have a few minutes. Yes, right here.
When you're going through your interest types and you're trying to find the trends,
Mm-hmm.
when you find the trends, are you testing those audiences separately, or are you working everything together?
Yeah, so when you're testing your interest types, excuse me, when you're testing your interest types, that's what I was saying earlier if you guys didn't catch that. When we put in our main keyword into Facebook and we're going to get some suggestions from what other similar keywords you're looking for interest types or categories of topics that keep coming up over and over and over, how do I then create my ads from that? I make a separate ad set for each one. Have the same. I'll typically start off with the same campaign, the same ad set, and the same ad. Eventually, if I'm finding out the different audiences, or that I have different audiences, say I'm selling German Shepherd items, and I have German Shepherd Rescue, and then I have, say, another one was like dog owners. It's a purchase behavior. They buy dog stuff, right? Maybe both of those are converting. Well, the people that are in the German Shepherd Rescue interest type, their emotions are going to be a lot different than the people that are just own dog or buy dog pet stuff, right? So eventually, so if I create my campaign and I create my ad sets and my ad and it works, it's successful, then what I start doing is I look at how I could target each one of those with a different ad. Right, so I take that same ad set that's working for the the rescue organization, and I'll make an ad copy that appeals more to that person. And the same thing with each other. Good question. Yes? Yeah, you. Is it Donna?
Yes. First of all, thank you very much. It's been very informative for me. Okay. I'm a newbie, so this might seem like a dumb question, but I really don't care. When you're doing an ad, you're supposed to keep it as short as possible. But if you're trying to tell a story, do you boost that? How do you get to say more about so you can tell the story? Am I making any sense?
So yeah, so what I would do is I would tell the story, write the story, or say however I want. And then I would read it again the second time and see how I could remove stuff that's not important.
Okay.
That way you could keep it a little bit shorter.
But that would still only go in the ad. You wouldn't like do a boost the post.
No, that would still go in the same text of the ad.
Oh, okay.
And those are kind of two different questions by asking about the boosted post, I'm
not sure what
yeah,
boost the post
it'll just
is
go in
anyway.
that same text, the same text area where you've been shown throughout the trainings where to put the text of the ad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for the great presentation. Really enjoyed it.
Thank
We've heard various speakers, and I'm just wondering, I'm starting out pretty fresh as well. Do you create an audience first, or do you focus on a product and then find, it's like the chicken and the egg, probably, you know, and you're probably going to tell me it makes no difference.
Yep. That's exactly what I'm going to tell you.
That's
Well, here's the deal. I've sold many different products, and I've done both. There's been times where I was just doing some audience research, and I found out, I was like, wow, there's a huge audience for this. Let me go find a product, right? And then there was other times where I'm walking through Walmart, and I see a product, and I'm like, I could sell that. And I look on Alibaba, and I find it. And so it could go both ways. Yeah. Be open to whatever works for you.
Hey, Robert. Oh, right.
Okay. Hey.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you if you could emphasize just for new people as far as the emphasis of speed as far as testing new products, because you know how, like you said, you started your niche as far as what backpacks, things of that nature, but you had no necessary emotion to it. Could you like more so emphasize not to get it emotionally attached to products in the sense of, getting the habit of testing a lot more than anything, not spending too much time on one product versus another, just for the new people to really just emphasize on that process and that mentality?
So a lot of people have, as far as getting you away from the emotional part attachment, I can't do that. The only way that I have discovered that happens is when people fail enough. When you beat your head into a wall enough, you're going to be like, okay, this isn't going to work, right? So to separate that emotion, I can't do, but to logically explain to you why you should never go in that direction is simple. That there's a lot of tools out there that show you what are the best-selling products or what are the things that people like, and if you're going to let your emotions run you, chances are you're just going to be beating your head against the wall, right? If you just get so attached to a product and know that you could sell it, you're not going to. Chances are there's nothing that's going to change. You're not going to discover this magical audience that you didn't know was there, and it's going to make you $1 million. Chances are, if you find an audience, it's going to be super small and it's going to make you $10 or something like that, right? So there's no real benefit to just keep beating your head into the wall when you find a product. The logical thing to do is just go find other products, use tools. There's so many tools. Like I talk about Watch Count, which is one of my favorite tools, watchcount.com. And if you just go to Watch Count and you just type in this is how I found that backpack. I typed in, I don't remember what my keyword was, but type in something like, we'll just take German Shepherd, for example, because that's what we were talking about earlier. Just type in German Shepherd and see what comes up, right? And then I'll just take those products that have the best numbers, and I'll look on AliExpress, and I'll type in whatever it was. Maybe it was a dog harness that came up. So I'll go to AliExpress, and I'll type in dog harness, and I'll sort that page of products by how many orders there's been. And if there's a product that has a lot of orders, 1,000 orders or so, there could be tens of thousands of orders. But if there's 500, 1,000 orders, then chances are that product is I'm going to be able to sell that product well somehow, some way. It's resonating with people for some reason. There's something about that product that are causing people to buy it. And I could choose to be emotionally attached to some other product just because I like it, or I could choose to logically go by the numbers and say, the numbers say that this is going to work, so let me try this. And really, that's what I choose to do. Is there's so many other tools out there, and if you're talking about speed, like you could use the tools. Like even I think the Shopify app does this, but there's Oberlo, which is the free version, and there's a lot of other apps out there that like you could search for products and then import them right into your Shopify store really, really quickly. You could find dozens of products and have them in your store within 20 minutes, half hour, or whatever. And that's titles changed, pricing, images, and everything done really, really quickly. If you're just paying attention to the numbers, and that's what I do. Because I don't want to be emotionally attached. I'm not even emotionally attached to e-commerce. I just happen to get into e-commerce, and I love it. But this is just, for me, this is just a product, so to speak, that I'm just passing through, and it works really, really well right now. And it's helping people, and it's helping me. And so, I don't even get emotionally attached to that. It's just about paying attention to the numbers and sticking to that. That's what I would do. Yep. Yeah. Okay.
So, my partner is a fabrics and pattern cutter, and we're into fashion, and there seems to be a trend now. Our government is making a lot of statements about Buy American and all that sort of thing. Do you think that there's enough in that trend to make an emotional statement about products that you have sourced that are made in America, vertically integrated?
Definitely, yeah. I think there's still a huge market for made in America, definitely. We're in the outdoor niche, which is a lot of, ends up being a lot of like ex-military people. And so they do have that, they make that expression. They're like, oh, we are not going to buy that product because it's made from China, or things like that. Now, we still make a lot of money, so I'm not worried about that. But there is a need for that. It's just not as much. The problem you're going to find with going after just made in USA is that the audiences are going to be a lot smaller, simply because the price is going to be a lot higher. So typically, with that said, it's up to each individual brand what it is you want your store to be about. So I can't say either way. I do know that there's a market for it for sure.
Okay. Second question. Do you think it's too early to start strategizing for a post-China Shopify world?
I think it's not, for me. I think about it. I think about those things. I think years off,
I'm
a year
not
off.
the only one?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Especially the way things are going with a lot of the, with the talks that Trump's having, and then just the way e-commerce is being almost, China's almost dominating with e-commerce right now, with a lot of their like things like the Wish app that's out there, and AliExpress. They're kind of dominating. So there's going to have to be some sort of regulations, in my opinion, that's going to keep competition. It's going to keep the market competitive. And so I expect that there's going to be something. With that said, I just think about it right now and pay attention to what's happening in the world, but focus on making money now and doing as much as I can right now. Because if I can make a bunch of money right now and tomorrow everything fails, well, at least I have something, right? At least I have something to stand on.
I like that. Thank you.
Yes.
You told a sell clothes story about the baby crying. So like, you know, your baby crying story. And you talked about how we need to do kind of the same thing with our sales process. Now, is that just us using the ad copy, the picture, and then boom, sales page, and what's on the product copy sales page? Or is that like
it goes
another
way beyond
funnel,
that?
like
Yeah, I
how's-
actually have. It actually goes way beyond that. But for this lesson, I just wanted to focus on it for the e-commerce. But since you asked, so the way we take it is we add value. We do this stuff at every single step. What I try to do is add value, some sort of value, emotional value, monetary value, or use value. I try to reveal something new at each step. The value is the most important part of the sales process, and the emotional value is the most part of the emotional of the values. So I try to appeal emotional value or appeal to the emotions at every single step by displaying some sort of value. So example, the first ad copy is going to be exactly how I just explained everything right now, and then they're going to get to your product page. Well, the product page has to be a little bit better than the ad. It has to do something, it doesn't have to be better, it has to do something more. It has to take the next step. It has to do one more thing to get the person to buy, to convince them that they need to be buying this. And so you could do something, you could add a monetary value on the page. So on your ad copy, you might say something like, buy this yo-yo on sale, right? But when they get to the product page, they could see that they could buy 2 for the price of 1, right? So that's really the sell or something like that, right? So you're adding, they're still getting the sell. It's the same thing, the thing that was in your ad copy is true, but when they get to your product page, it's a little bit better. It's one step further, right? That's how you're going to not lose the customer. That's how when we were walking through the story I told you in the beginning, when she picked up that onesie, she fell in love with it right away. But as we're walking through the store and we didn't find anything else she wanted, that value went down, that emotion went down to eventually where she didn't even want it, she didn't even care, right? She just was willing to put it down. You don't want your customers to do that. You want to add more value at each step. You want to show them one more reason why they need to purchase. And so you do that on the product page. You could do that now when they add the cart, they're going to go to the cart page. You could do that with adding more value there. You could have upsell. So you like these 2 yo-yos you like these yo-yos or whatever. I don't know, some other get this other product now for whatever, right? Some other price upsells. But that's adding value at the cart process. And then depending on what Shopify plan, you could do that on the checkout page and keep adding value at each step. That's what we try to do. We try to do the exact same thing at every step. And that's how you really make super bionic e-commerce campaigns.
Robert, I saw your story, in fact, on the Shopify blog 2 months back, and awesome. About the National Parks Depot. And it's incredible to be able to hear to you in person right here. Awesome. So, thank you so much for this opportunity, for sharing this experience. My question to you is, if you are having a dropshipping model with, let's say, AliExpress, but at the same time, like someone said here, that, someone wants to buy American, okay, and, there will be so many branded providers for your product as well, and the product can be anything. So how easy is it to combine the AliExpress dropshipping model with a source product model right from within the country as well? How would you say it? Can I have both the models coexist on one store?
We do both. I have a 9,000 square foot warehouse that I've had a warehouse like a few months after we started our business. We got our warehouse. We've grown multiple times. But yeah, I have a warehouse that we house products. We get products here from the United States. We get products from China. We get products from elsewhere. And but we also still drop ship as well. And so the hardest part about all of that is finances, keeping track of your financials, because especially with the drop ship products, the prices could constantly change. And so adding that into where now you got products in your warehouse, the financials are a little bit harder to take care of. But in the big picture, it doesn't make anything much more difficult. You just need a good financial person. No, definitely doable. We do it.
Robert, I have another question. You've been at this now for quite some time. I presume you have a team and you also outsource. Could you give us a little bit of an advice, or when we're just starting out, when do you say, like, you got to start outsourcing now, or get yourself a team, or, because you can't do everything together. Yeah. You also have a family life somehow. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So the way I made those decisions was when I didn't have enough time to do everything that it needed to be done, I gave up the things that I didn't like to do the most, that I least liked doing, and focused on the things that I was the best at and liked doing. So like customer service, I hated customer service. I wouldn't even be able to sleep because I didn't, like, customer service is about problems, right? That's all you're going to get in customer service is about problems. And it's really easy to beat yourself up and want to give up when you're just dealing with problems, right? So I quickly had to remove myself from that and get a customer service team. And then drop shipping orders, putting in these drop ship orders every day, that could take some time. And so once you start getting enough customers to where it takes up too much time, then you just hire somebody to do that as well. So yeah, it came down to my time, how much time I wanted to spend on things, and giving up what I least like doing.
Can you talk a little bit about the Google Shopping and the Bing search and the Pinterest, how you use those again?
Yeah, so Pinterest, you mentioned Pinterest. That one we haven't completely discovered. My biggest store is in the male outdoor niche, and so Pinterest is kind of could be women, a lot of women, but there's so I don't want to focus on that one. So let's just focus on the main ones that we use. Again, are Facebook, Google Search, Google Shopping, Bing Search, and Instagram. Those are the main ones that we're using. I always start off with Facebook. Facebook is the most important, and it's the easiest. It's like a light switch. You just turn on the light switch and you can reach millions of people, right? So I love Facebook. But then what happens is I told you about the gravity hook. We started selling the gravity hook. We actually created a trend. Nobody had seen this product before, and so we created a trend. And we actually could have been giving a lot. There started being a lot of people that were copying me. I get that a lot. And people were going to buy the product from elsewhere. We were running the Facebook ads, but then a lot of the sales were going to other people. They would do a Google search for that product, and they would find that product somewhere else, and they would start buying it from them. And so that's where we layered in the element of Google search. We started targeting our keywords and keywords surrounding our keywords for our products, and saving the sales from basically giving them to somebody else. And not only that, you capture other people's sales. If there's anybody else driving traffic to that same product, and people are doing the same thing with them, they're going to go search that product on Google to see if they can find a better deal or whatever. And if you're up top on the first 4 links because you're doing paid Google advertising, then chances are they're going to buy it from you. They're going to click on your ad. So the Google search is important. Google Shopping is very important because people are, when they're searching on Google, they're actually going to be, they're doing some shopping on Google. If they're looking for a product, it's all about shopping. So to be first in those little squares up there at the top in the Google search, you know what I'm talking about? Those are very important. It's about proof, and it's about just being visually being there. It's about showmanship, always being in front of your customer. Showmanship is just always being there, always being the one that they see and that they know. And then, so that's Google Search, Google Shopping, and then Bing Search, because a lot of buyers are on Bing. But you'll see that a lot of the traffic that you get from Bing, if you look in your Google Analytics, you'll see that the traffic that comes from Bing is very highly converting. It converts really, really well. And so we have Bing on there as well. And then Instagram, we're doing a lot of stuff with influencers and paid advertising with Instagram, having some really good success with that. So Instagram, the cool thing about Instagram is that Instagram is owned by Facebook, and so it has all the data, the same data as Facebook, and the same brilliance there. And so, but a lot less competition. There's not as many advertisers, not as many marketers utilizing Instagram, and so that's why we like that one. So yeah, those would be the main ones: Facebook, Google Search, Google Shopping, Bing, and Instagram.
When it comes to outsourcing, do you hire people overseas or from Fiverr to do that type of work, stuff that you don't like to do?
For e-commerce stuff, I've built a local team, and this is a business decision that each business owner is going to have to make. Really, I didn't want to outsource. I was buying my products overseas. I'm fine with that, and I'm not against supporting other countries. But I wanted to build a local team. I wanted to be able to build something that was a little bit more tangible, and that was the decision I made. With that said, I've kind of reversed that and reverted back. We let some employees go recently, and I'm going to start outsourcing a little bit more stuff. For it's another business decision. So I'm open to both. I do outsource a lot of work still outside of e-commerce, like I do development stuff and other things. We outsource that. But when I was building my e-commerce team, it was important for me that it be local in the beginning. That was me personally. But that's why I have a 9,000 square foot warehouse, and I don't expect everybody else to do that. I would say if you're going to focus primarily on a dropship business, then maybe outsource a lot of the work, because there's no need to have an internal team if the products are drop shipped, if they're never coming into your warehouse.
Can you discuss some of the tools to find people and the products, please?
Yeah, so Shopify app is a is a tool that you could just install on your store, and allows you to do searching right inside of that app to find products. Oberlo is another free version of that. Watch count is my favorite. So basically, I have a two-step process, and I really don't complicate it more than this. If I'm searching for products, now I can find products walking through Walmart. I'm always keeping my eyes open for products everywhere. Maybe something going through my own news feed, and I'm like, oh wow, I could sell that, right? So I'm always on the lookout for products. But if I'm searching for products, then I'm going to always start off on watch count almost every time, and I'm going to put in my main keyword, whatever it might be, maybe skateboarding. I'll put in skateboarding, and I'm going to look at whatever is trendy. The same thing I'm doing with my interest types that I showed you guys with my interest types. I put in my main keyword and then see what Facebook shows me as suggestions, and I look for trends. The same thing I'm doing in watch count. I'm going to put in my main keyword, and I'm going to look for trends of products that keep coming up. So if I put in, I'll do an example that I know that would give you more detail. If I put in survival, if I go to watch count and I put in survival, I know that I'm going to come up with a lot of bladed items, like axes and knives and machetes and things like that. Bladed items, I know that I'm going to come up with a lot of packs, like backpacks and pouches and items that they could pack a lot of things into, because that's what survival is about, is having a lot of being well prepared. I know that I'm just going to find a lot of the same types of products, as I scroll down the watch count feed of my certain search. And so what I'm doing is I'm looking for those trends. And so let's say that the blades was the most common one. When I search survival, I see a lot of blades come up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to AliExpress, and I'm going to search. I'll search survival axe. Maybe I see a lot of axes, so I'll search survival axe. And then I'll search survival knife, and then I'll search survival machete, right? And then I'll see what comes up on AliExpress. And when I search survival blade or survival axe, I'm going to sort that page, the results. I'm going to sort that by the most amount of orders, and that's going to tell me what's the most sold item for that specific type of product. So I'm starting off on watch count, finding the trends of items, and then I'm going over to AliExpress to find the specific items, the ones within that trend that are the best selling. And then I take the best selling ones from AliExpress and just put them on my store from there. And really, if I find products, that's my 95% of the time of actually researching for products. That's what I do, exactly that same step. Start on watch count, look for trends, take those trends, look on AliExpress to find the hot products within those trends.
Robert, do you ever use like Google Alerts for your niche, so it's alerting you if something's trendy or something's newsworthy in your niche?
I did, and then I shut it off because there was too much stuff. However, I do recommend it. It does work for other industries too. I'm using it for like internet marketing stuff and other things like that. Definitely, I like Google. What did you call it again? Google Alerts. Yeah. Yeah, they send you emails every time something comes up. Maybe there's like a new listing or something. I don't know exactly how it works, but yeah, definitely. Anybody else? Did I see any other questions?
Robert, we spoke about Google Shopping ads. My question to you on that would be, how much time would it take on a daily basis for you or for someone in your team to be updating the product inventory feed? The product feeds you can create one time and you are kind of done with them. But when you're talking about the product inventory feeds, which is sending the information for local inventory ads or for the shopping ads every day to Google. So how easy is to automate that process, or how much time is it going to take on an everyday basis?
There's actually apps for that, so it's really simple. There's apps that just tie into your Shopify store. I don't remember all the names, you set them up once and you're done. And but yeah, just look for Google Shopping in the App Store. You'll find apps for that. Yeah, it's definitely easy. It's just set it up one time, and inventory and all of that is taken care of. If you're using inventory. If you're drop shipping, then you don't really worry about inventory. But yeah, really, really easy. Any other questions for my laptop dice? Awesome. I think that's about my hour and a half anyways. Thank you guys for putting up with me for that hour, for that time.
Kill it. Guys, keep them feeling good. Huge round of applause for Robert Nava. Awesome. Robert's amazing. He's added a lot of value to our community. You'll be seeing more of Robert. All right, guys, so what we're going to do, we're going to take a 15-minute break. How long? At 11 o'clock, I'm going to